Nobody knew the extent of the damage. Bea Arthur smiled through her personal crisis on TV for years. Her final phone call, released 15 years after her death, is worse than expected. She informed her son hours before her death. "They lied to me." That call's astonishing disclosures explain everything: her terrible fight with Betty White, why she left the Golden Girls, and the devastating family truth she suppressed for 86 years. Hollywood never expected this. Bernice Frankel was born in Brooklyn on May 13, 1922, to Austrian and Polish Jewish immigrants. New York's Jewish community buzzed, making life simple. Her 11th birthday altered everything. Her family moved to Cambridge, Maryland, due to financial issues. The South was small, segregated, and prejudiced. She went from a lively, familiar city to a hamlet where Bernice felt very alone. Her parents built one of town's few Jewish-owned women's apparel shops, which became their safe space in a hostile environment. By age 12, she had grown to about 5 feet 10, making it even harder. She was tall, had a deep voice, and didn't fit anyone's youth ideal. Teachers always cast her as the boy in school plays, and her peers didn't understand her. She felt uneasy, shy, and alone. She discovered comedy inside instead of shrinking. She joked, making people laugh, using wit as her shield and weapon. Peers noted she was the funniest girl in school. That keen, caustic wit that made Dorothy and Maude famous began in a little community where she didn't belong. However, she desired something different privately. She wanted to be a short, blonde, delicate movie star like others in magazines. She knew she didn't look the part, but kept going. She perfected her Mae West impression, stunning everyone with its boldness and humor from a quiet, serious girl. She used that impression at parties and school gatherings. People appreciated her debut performance. She repeated the effect at her Hall of Fame induction decades later. After high school, her life got confused. She tried finishing school, studying medical tech, and finding a solid path, but nothing worked. She bravely joined the Marine Corps Women's Reserve during World War II. This was unprecedented. Combat boots weren't popular with women, notably in the Marines, the last branch to accept them. She had worked in a food lab and volunteered as an air raid warden before that. She joined unexpectedly. She was due to start a new job, but the Marines were recruiting women, so why not? Indeed, it was spontaneous. Not only did Bea serve, she rose rapidly. She sought to attend motor transport school after training in the Bronx, unusual for a New Yorker who hadn't driven much, but she succeeded. In North Carolina, she was a smart, sometimes too blunt dispatcher and driver. One comment in her file claimed she was overaggressive and bossy, but could work well if she had her way. That attitude didn't slow her. Her rapid promotion to staff sergeant by 1945. That rise wasn't accidental. It was obvious she was skilled. After the Marines, she attempted to be safer. A licensed medical lab technician, she worked at Cambridge Hospital for the summer. It made sense. Something didn't work, despite a steady employment, useful talents, and post-war economy. A lab job felt dead to her. Not exciting. It wasn't her, and that calm understanding led her to a life-changing decision. By 1947, she left the lab coat and returned to New York to study acting at the new school. Things took shape there. She studied with later theater stars Harry Belafonte and Walter Matthau under Erwin Piscator. Not only was she nearly 5 feet 10 inches tall with a deep voice, but she had presence. The director cast her in large roles after one look. Macbeth, Lysistrata, and Katharina were her roles. She initially didn't like humor, thinking she was better at tragedy or drama. Eventually, comedy took over and made her memorable. Her personal life was quietly changing. While studying theater, she met John Sachs. They became closer as they pursued their New York stage goals. They married in 1950 and lived together for nearly 30 years. Their relationship was artistic and romantic. She played difficult classical roles in little-town theaters while learning the craft, cultivating the ferocious presence that would make her famous. But those early years weren't glamorous. She worked in tiny TV roles to pay the rent. She had enough exposure on Sid Caesar and Perry Como's shows, and $650 each episode on Caesar's Hour helped. Money wasn't everything. She learned comedy's rhythm there, something she'd always remember. In 1954, everything changed. She became Lucy Brown in Greenwich Village's three-penny opera, Game Changer. Bea rose from background to star in the 6-year sitcom. One Barbara music performance disrupted her serious role. She gave her everything, and the audience laughed. She was initially dumbfounded. Then it clicked. That was magic. That was funny. After that, Bea knew how to combine drama and humor. Even her Broadway deck performance captured her typical piercing humor. Not merely a hit show, it marked her arrival. She was also studying from the best. Each night with Lotte Lenya, Kurt Weill's wife, and Broadway great was like taking a master lesson. Lenya's stage presence grabbed attention without asking for it. It was studied by Bea. She remembered how Lenya could stand still on stage and draw attention. That control shaped Bea's style. After decades, Bea played Lenya on that stage at 77. She treasured the complete circle moment. She frequently wished Lenya had published a memoir. That collaboration meant everything to her. Bea secretly sang in nightclubs during her theatrical popularity, which few knew. She performed at Manhattan's modest but distinguished Blue Angel between productions. It wasn't fancy. The space was limited. It was powerful because of the basic stage and harsh glare. She practiced timing, stillness, and word placement every night. She performed with icons Barbra Streisand and Charlotte Rae. The Blue Angel wasn't a side gig, her training ground. Her Broadway debut was as Yente the Matchmaker in Fiddler on the Roof in 1960. However, director Jerome Robbins drew her aside and told her something that broke her spirit before the show opened. He stated she wasn't important to the tale and should be cut. It wasn't personal. It benefited the show. Still, it stopped. Despite her toughness, Arthur cried after one grueling practice due to Robbins' treatment. In subsequent years, she was blunt about him. She stated that everyone despised him. She persevered despite the emotional damage. With thousands of performances and a best-selling cast recording for over 4 years, Fiddler on the Roof broke records. Despite her reduced role, it made her famous. 2 years later, she got a life-changing job. Her role, Vera Charles, was Angela Lansbury's sharp-tongued, hard-drinking closest friend in Mame. Their bosom buddies duet was a hit. Arthur's rich voice and impeccable timing light up the stage. The role was perfect, earning her a Tony. Special things happened off-stage. She and Lansbury became lifelong friends. Arthur would fondly recall such days in her one-woman performance. She reprised Vera Charles in the film years later. This time, things went wrong. The Lucille Ball film, Mame, flopped with critics. The role had become part of her identity. Funny, acerbic, and heartfelt. She chose songs for her later presentations that showed her strong wit and emotional depth from Maine. Theo Arthur was a famous theatrical performer when something unexpected happened in 1971. Norman Lear, the creator of All in the Family, requested her to guest star as Maude Findlay, a fiery feminist who could challenge Archie Bunker. Not simply a guest, she stole the show. Everyone noticed. CBS executives wanted to create a new series around her immediately. Maude was that series. From its 1972 debut, Bea Arthur played a feisty, middle-aged woman who wasn't hesitant to speak her opinion. She played a New York mother with 4 husbands and a daughter. She became a symbol for women who had never seen someone like them on TV suddenly. Maude wasn't cautious. Before Roe v. Wade, the show discussed abortion in 1972. Maude's Dilemma, a two-part program, impacted television forever. Suddenly pregnant at 47, her character was puzzled what to do. Story was raw and complicated. Neither she nor her husband wanted more kids. Daughter reminded her how scary things were, pre-abortion. The episode was strong because it didn't answer simply. First primetime main character to openly make this decision. CBS worried about criticism, so they requested the writers to include a happy, baby-loving neighbor to balance things out. Though 39 stations refused to carry it, millions watched and wrote to Bea to thank her. She wasn't sure she'd do it again years later, but she never forgot its impact. Bea didn't win a major prize until 1977, 5 years after the show's success and critical acclaim. It felt overdue when she won the Best Actress Emmy. She tackled important screen subjects, including aging, harassment, medical challenges, and more for years. She allowed women to discuss topics never previously seen in sitcoms. She ignored it in typical Bea manner. She stated the award wasn't important anymore. She always prioritized effort over awards. However, that Emmy proved she had redefined television womanhood. Not everything went well. Vera Charles, her Broadway role, was reprised in the 1974 film Mame. But this time was disastrous. Despite its expense, the picture bombed. They despised it. Some believed the film lacked heart, memorable music, and spark. Despite her theatrical strength, Bea's movie performance was clunky and overdone.